Guys, we will talk about the central finance technical architecture today. So it's purely focused on technology. We will not talking about the functionality, rather how the end-to-end architecture works in terms of system. So before we jump on to technical architecture of CFIN, let's understand what technical architecture actually means. We have functional architecture, domain architecture, enterprise architecture, and we are saying technical architecture. So by definition, technical architecture is the design and documentation of the software application. It is important to define computer architecture before building a software or application. And it's typically defines the communication, network, security, hardware, and software that are used by the application. So as the definition suggests, we will be purely focusing on the technology aspects of this design. So before I jump on to the end-to-end architecture, I just want to reiterate, of course I have covered this in other videos as well, that is SLT mandatory, and I received this question from a couple of people asking me this is SLT required, really required in this process. SAP is SAP landscape transformation. It's a transformation tool which helps you in data pushing and pulling the data from source system and sending it to central finance system. So yes, it is mandatory. So how it looks like when we just replicate. So this is a core architecture of the technology, where we have on source side we have ERP1, ERP2, or it can be n number of ERPs. There is no technical limitation. And when I say ERP, it can be SAP and it can be non-SAP. Currently, let's assume it is SAP, and then I'll explain what is the difference when it comes to non-SAP. So when I say SAP, it is ECC system which are which are in maintenance by SAP. SAP supports all those systems. So in a simple way, you have ECC on the source side. We call it source system. It comes to SLT. I explained this. It is needed, and then in SLT you do the configuration, which we will cover in later videos, and the data comes to S4HANA. So also it is important to understand central finance is not a different box. It is a component within S4HANA. So you have to install S4HANA. You don't need to implement the end-to-end S4HANA like finance, logistics, material management, or sales and distribution or other components. But the installation, it has to be S4HANA core. And on top of that, you can activate central finance via business functions. And then of course you have S4HANA, then the database is HANA database, and then you have mapping functionality, application interface framework for error handling. You work with any enhancement, your everything will work in S4HANA itself. So the overall picture looks like you post in ECC system, it comes to SLT system, and then it from via SLT it reads the mapping, it reads your enhancement, it reads your bodies, it reads your any substitution or any other component, and then it passes through AIF, and then it get posted into central finance and reaches your AC Docker table, which is the part of HANA database. So that's how the end-to-end architecture looks like. And however, if we add on top of this, if we say okay that we have a non-SAP system as well as a source, for example Oracle or JD Edwards, so then on SLT there is an additional component is needed, I would say, the data kind of data services before SLT, so that transforms the data and post into SLT staging tables. So right from SLT, it's all standard SAP process, but extracting the data from non-SAP system, putting it into your or into your data services and transformation, that is something you have to take care on your own in terms of customization, or there are products in the market available. I'll not name them because it is not a marketing video for the products, but rather than a technology video. So that's how the technical architecture looks like from CFIN perspective. And this is the, as I said again, repeating, this is only when you replicate the data from one system to other system, the core of central finance. In the next picture, we see, okay, we add a process execution on top of central finance, and we add planning or consolidation to get more value out of central finance. The architecture changes. Of course, your core still remains same. You post in ECC, it comes to S4HANA. However, on top of S4HANA, you have planning engine, you have consolidation engine, and then you have, like, if you are doing processes on central finance, S4HANA system like integration with bank, other satellite systems, closing, financial supply chain management, And then you can, in planning, you can have, let's say, maybe Hyperion, or maybe SAP group reporting. Consolidation, you can use SAP group reporting, or even Hyperion financial management for consolidation. So as I said, it is not a focused on product, rather it's a focus on process and technology. So that's how the end-to-end architecture looks like when you change from replication to process. So if you see here, this is replication only, and this is when you execute the processes. So that's how the architecture changes. And of course, you have to consider in this component the flavor of cloud, um, the flavor of premise, and other things, so that you ensure you do the right connectivity, you have right network, you have right security embedded in the overall landscape. SAP Central Finance start with an, okay, the question is, what about master data replication? So of course, Central Finance assumes that your master data is already replicated. It is a part of the processes in your existing organization. Of course, you can manage your master data via MDG or via non-SAP systems, but the described architecture does not include that. So the architecture which I am showing on the screen does not include that. It is assumed that before you implement central finance, your master data processes are in line with the future landscape. Okay, so now let's, as we spoke about connectivity, as we spoke about security, so let's understand how the systems are connected. So we are talking about source and the CFIN system, and we only talk about currently SAP systems. So if you see, where there are two modes, we do initial load and we do ongoing replication. So initial load, you see, there are different components and there are different objects. For example, accounting documents come via RFC connections, projects come via ALE, IDOCs, and other components come via SLT, like controlling documents, cost objects, profit center documents, and activity rates and material cost estimate. However, when it comes to ongoing replication, SLT is the key component driving. No RFC connections are used in ongoing replication, and project and WBS elements are still coming via ALE IDOCs. So rest all other is SLT. So if you see here, in overall picture, SLT is one of the core component of the whole landscape, and that's why that was the first question I answered, is SLT is mandatory, because this whole coding and the whole storyline is written on the standard code of SAP, which works through SLT. Okay, so that's all for today. If you see, now we are in a Central Finance digital learning platform. We have now 31 videos available, including technical architecture in FAQ format, as well as we have other 9 videos on Central Finance, which are in a simple training format. Feel free to go through the videos, and you will have another video. Next video coming is source system settings, in which I'll explain what are the system settings on the source side ECC you need to do when you are really running the central finance configurations. So now we are slowly moving to the configuration side, and then we will talk about configurations in more detail as we move on. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening in. Please do not forget to like the video, subscribe the channel. Please feel free to share the videos as you want with your peers and colleagues. And I will come back very soon with another video with more in content on Central Finance. Thank you so much.